Hey guys, today I wanna talk about Combat Rogue guide for Ulduar. I will go through all the boss fights apart from Algolon during this video. So tips and tricks for Combat Rogues for every boss fight, what you have to do to be a better Combat Rogue. Also not for sure related to your parses. I just want to give you here a super quick look up onto my logs. Give me one moment. They are here. As you can see, decent. I would never say that I'm the best rogue in the world, also not the second best, I'm pretty sure also not the third best. I'm playing Combat Rogue since the start of Ulduar, that means 4 weeks before I played Assassination. These are my logs for the 25-man raid. You see mostly orange, some 99s, and on the most two easy bosses, very bad parses. I hope I will fix that this week. And kind of the same it looks on my 10-man. They are much more 99, but also 2 bad ones with Mimiron and Hodir, and 198 with XT and 95 with Yogg. As you can see, some rank 5, rank 9, whatever, but also some bad parses like here. Overall, that means I know what I'm doing, but there are definitely some guys that are doing a better job, or also, I hope you know that, it's also sometimes related to the kill times on a boss, how high you can parse. Don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure 95 plus is possible on every boss, doesn't matter at the end what your guild is doing, but for sure 99 and maybe, and definitely when we talk about 100s, but 99 and 100s, sometimes you are definitely there related on the kill times of your guild, so it's not only up to you, but 95, 96, 97 and 98 as well is only reliant on yourself. So that means if you are playing it good, if you're playing it perfect, then you definitely can have those numbers if you follow some tips. As you can see here right now, it's a 10-man raid. The video guide is mixed 10-man and 25. Why? Because at the end of the day the boss fights are kind of similar. Sometimes, like an Auriaya, I'm not sure if this is pronounced well, she has 2 more or less adds in 10-man than 25, but to be honest, I think that's the only real difference that I'm knowing so far. Apart from that, the 10-man, 25-man are the same. That's why this video is now mixed 10-man, 25-man, and I just want to talk not exactly about what I'm doing. I want to show you what you can do to get better parses on each boss fight. I will have a lot open the window to show you. We start here with Ignis. So on Ignis, I think not crazy, not a lot of things that you can do here. The most important thing is that you wait till the boss is on the point where Bloodlust get activated. And Bloodlust is activated, then throw out all your cooldowns, do as much damage as possible, and the Bloodlust phase. Here you can see I want to show you here super quick my standard. I have the complete rogue standard spec. Glyphs is something that we talk about where we swap things around. This would be here my standard glyphs for Ignis. Don't get me wrong, if you have a kill timer, and I think that's a possible topic, important topic, sorry, on kind of every boss fight, the kill timers. As you can see here, the fastest one in our guild, or for me, I only raid with my guild, so it's for my guild, is 230, 232. If it's faster than 232, or let me say faster than 2 minutes, I think Adrenaline Rush would be your choice. If it's longer than 2 minutes, I would say you should go for the build that I showed you. And don't get me wrong, if you have to expose armor, you would definitely swap in expose armor for usually Sinister Strike, so that's depending on if you have to expose armor or not. So let's start a boss fight super quick. I want to keep this video around, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes, so I will not show you the complete boss fights overall. That would take just too much time because we have some boss fights that are around 8 minutes. But yeah, always important for sure, tricks before the fight starts onto your tank that you can directly have as much damage as possible on the tank. And then it's also very important that you directly start to make damage when the fight starts. As you can see here, it's like 1 second into the fight and I'm directly on the boss. Also important on Ignis, try to stay all the time behind the boss. The boss is sometimes moving a little bit around. I cannot even tell you exactly why this is happening, but it's important that you're focused on staying behind the boss, doing as much damage as possible. Here's a little bit bad place to fire, but doesn't matter. We have abilities like the engineer boots or our own sprint to get us in a good position. Sadly, I get here taken. That's just bad. I think it's called Slack Pot or something like this. You cannot do anything about it. Especially bad when it's happening in the face that you have the cooldowns up. But okay. Also for sure, always keep tricks up. Slice and dice up. Always try to keep rupture up. That's important here. And then use your cooldowns on cooldown. Also very important. Pre-pot like always, but not a lot of things that here are important. Like I said, if you have a very nice kill time, I think going for Adrenaline Rush makes more sense, because a 20 seconds Adrenaline Rush is definitely a nice damage boost. But it's not that good as long as the boss fight is going. Alright, let us go here a little bit fast forward. Boss is about to go down, as you can see here my DPS. Okay, that's it. Next boss fight is Razorscale. On Razorscale, two things are important. You definitely have not to miss the moment that he's coming down. I also would say here now the Adrenaline Rush glyph is better, because the boss fight by itself is very, very short. If you one-face him, and you should one-face him for good parses. Also, these mobs here counting not for your parses, so don't waste any cooldown on it. Yeah, you should damage them, especially if it's necessary, but I also have to say, you could be very tricky and not damaging these mobs at all. Why? Because these mobs can trigger your trinkets in very bad moments, and you want to have the trinkets for the boss fight. So if you want to make it perfect, don't touch these mobs here at all. Wait till the boss is coming down and then throw up everything on the boss. Boss fight is pretty easy. The only thing that can happen is that you get shooted up in the air. When this is happening, then directly please use your engine boots or sprint. Better the engine boots because they are faster, to go back to the boss, to have like no downtime. Also important when he's coming down that you directly on it, tricks on your tank, directly start to make full damage. Wait maybe a second or two, Bloodlust gets activated usually then, and then also throw up all your cooldown on your offensive cooldowns, line them up, and then as much damage as possible. I'm not sure if I would here swap Rupture for Adrenaline Rush, or if I would swap Sinister Strike. Rupture is definitely not that good on that boss fight, because depending on how long it goes, you maybe don't want to put a second or a third Rupture on it. But yeah, that's a little bit depending, like I said, on your kill time. If you want to swap Adrenaline Rush on it, then I think it's okay for Rupture and for Sinister Strike, so both ones would be fine to swap them around. Overall, a very easy fight. Also, don't stay here in the fire when he's doing it. Now you see here I directly activate engine boots, so the downtime is 2 or 3 seconds overall. Could be better, but yeah, that's the best thing what you can do here. Overall, again, a very easy boss fight. The next one is, I guess I would say, a little bit more interesting. We talk here about the XT002. Here is my big recommendation. Definitely going for the Feint glyph. Why Feint? The Tantrum is making a lot of AoE damage, and you can 50% reduce it with Feint. So always when there's Tantrum coming out, and there should be like, I don't know exactly 4 or 5 Tantrums coming out, you should be using Feint. That's very important. Another thing, so just super quick here, let us look over here. Yeah, I would swap then the Sinister Strike glyph out for Feint in that case for this boss fight. just because you use Feint. If you use Feint, if you use only one time Feint, then maybe you don't have to swap to the Glyph, but if you use Feint a lot, then it always makes sense to swap for that Glyph, because then Feint is reduced to 0 energy, and all the energy that you use should be only for your damage. So if you would use Feint 2, 3, 4 times in a boss fight without having the Glyph, that could be reduce your damage by a lot. Depending on the kill time of your guild, you should use your cooldowns important lining up with the Bloodlust. What you also see here is you can go out with the bomb. In that case, I did it, but sadly I'm slowed by a lot because of the tantrum. You can run out when you get a gravity bomb. You can run out with the Inchi boots or with sprint. Drop it with Cloak of Shadows and directly come back, so your downtime is only like 1 or 2 seconds and you don't have to wait a lot till it's running out and placing it on the floor. So you can just doing it actively by yourself. Very important here for XT to have a nice uptime on the boss fight. What else? Tantrum, I said it. Lining up your cooldowns. If we look here super quick on the timers, let me see how long we take. Or 5 minutes, so yeah, that means you can use your cooldowns 3 times. So I think I would not line them up. I would use them on start, and then always when they're up, I always talk about the 3-minute cooldowns. I don't talk about Killing Spree or Blade Flurry that you can definitely use more often. That's it. And if you get the light bomb, you just, as you can see here, we melees are all on the left foot, on the outside. If you have the light bomb, you just go here to the right side to the right leg, to the back here, and start continue damaging from here. Because there's nobody, you don't damage anybody. As you can see here now, this DK is doing it, and you have also here complete uptime. So again, what is important? Feint for reducing tantrum damage. That means you can just you don't worry that you die. Gravity Bomb, bringing it out with Cloak of Shadows and Inchi boots or sprint to be very low downtime, and also bring the light bomb to the right leg and not to run any like this is not necessary, but it's a gravity bomb in that case. So that's all. Overall, apart from these 2-3 things, it's a fight like everything else. Do as much damage as possible. I would also recommend you that you use Expose Armor on the heart. Why? Because you get it much faster up than a warrior. That means just with your first 1 or 2 combo points, make an Expose Armor on the heart, especially if you have already sliced and diced up and you don't have to worry about it, because the Expose Armor is directly up completely, and that's it. Right, next boss fight is the Iron Assembly that we coming here to. On Iron Assembly as well is important the kill time of your guild. Why? Because if you use more than 3 minutes, and I'm not talking about 3 minutes 10 or 3 minutes 15, I'm talking about maybe 3:45 or something like this, then use your 3-minute cooldowns directly here at the start of the fight, and then later on for burning Steelbreaker if you played on hard mode again. If you have less fight time, if you have like 3 minutes fight or 3 minute 5 or something like this, then you can only use your 3-minute cooldown once. Then you should definitely use your... I mean, I died here. Too much aggro, sadly. But thanks God I get directly revived. On a 3-minute... you can only use a 3-minute cooldown once. Then you should line it up at the end for the Bloodlust phase to burn down Steelbreaker. Makes much more sense for the guild, and I would say also for your damage. Glyphs here, I would say... Feint. I'm not talking about Killing Spree always, besides you cannot use Killing Spree, and there's only one boss fight where you cannot use Killing Spree. So I would say here Rupture, Killing Spree, Feint. Why Feint? Because you can block some damage, as you can see here with the lightning that he's doing. and also for the death area that the second one, the Rune Master Molgame, is doing on the floor. So if that would hit you, you can always come out. So I think Feint on this boss is very good. If you get more confident, then you can maybe go for the Sinister Strike Glyph, but at that moment I would prefer, or I would recommend, the Feint Glyph. Let us go. You could also kick some things. Here you can see that some casts are kickable, especially from the first little one. Always try to stay in the rune, that's very important. That's maximizing your damage. But it's not always easy, it's always a little bit depending on your tank. But I also can tell you, don't stay in the glyph if you cannot damage him. Try to, or on this rune, it's a rune, follow the boss if you have to do it. You can see here this area now, this death area, and yeah, that's it. You can see now it's dropping on directly under me, doing a lot of damage. So if you have Feint there, it's definitely helping. And then burn down Sealbreaker, line up your Bloodlust like it makes the most sense. We're coming now to an interesting boss, Kologarn. Interesting boss for, let us here press super quick on boss because the boss fight is so short. Interesting boss for combat rogues. Why? Because here we swap glyphs totally around. You cannot use Killing Spree. That even means if you be super crazy about your parses on Kologarn, you could put the 1 point out of Killing Spree and put it in another talent thing that gives you more damage. It's 1 point. Could lead you to, could help to make more damage. But what is especially important are the glyphs. You definitely use here Adrenaline Rush for getting more damage, and for having a higher uptime because the fight is very short. You use Fan of Knives because you can make here a lot of damage. Look at my DPS here down. It's very close to 20k at that moment, and just on a 10 man and 25 you can even get around 25k with all the buffs and things like this. Then Fan of Knives, Adrenaline Rush, and I would say Blade Flurry, because then you don't use Blade Flurry for I had here not even the right gloves equipped because okay, I think I got my new gloves here, and when I swapped the talents then my engineering did not follow. Very bad from me, but anyways, we did it. And the next one is the Blade Flurry glyphs, because the Blade Flurry is then initially costing you no damage, what helps you to start directly doing as much damage as you can, and then the fight is pretty easy. Kill Kologarn with killing both arms. As you can see, first place on that boss. You can do even much more. Was the first time that I did here this tactic, but I think that's an important boss fight to know no Killing Spree, because you can just not use it. And important is here Fan of Knives, Adrenaline Rush for much more initial damage with the Bloodlust, and then just spam Fan of Knives. Start with Blade Flurry. If you want, you can maybe get up 1 Slice and Dice and then start with your Fan of Knives rotation, but you can also directly Fan of Knives and then make the rotation with 2 Slice and Dice when you think it's necessary. When there's only Kologarn and 1 arm left, then you should start with this. So here. Next fight is Auriaya. Not sure how to pronounce it. We are here on the stairs. We will start to fight the boss when he's around here with his 2 cats. Okay. We are waiting here. Kind of the same here, but you can use Killing Spree, but still I would say Adrenaline Rush and Fan of Knives are the way to go here. Why? Because which damage is counting? The damage is counting to her and to the cats, not to the super small, I'm not even sure, are imps or whatever, I'm not even sure what else she's spawning, little mobs, but the damage to her and to the cats is counting. That means the most important thing are the first 5 to 10 seconds into this fight. That means start the fight, tricks on the tank, make 1 combo point on her, Slice and Dice, Blade Flurry, and then use all your cooldowns lined up with Bloodlust, Global Separate Charge, and then let's go. Where she's coming. this here kind of well. Starting. I used my very bad from me. Anyways, you're hitting her, so it's no big deal. And then when the sentries, I think the cats are called sentries, when they are gone, then just normal single target rotation. Yeah, your single target is not that good because you have the fan of knife glyphs, but anyways, that doesn't matter a lot because the fight is so fast. As you can see, she is just burning down. Again, very good damage. Your CC'd here, nothing you can do about it. Also here important, directly with inchy boots or sprints, getting back to her. That's it. So just to clarify here, this boss fight, again, same glyphs like on Kologarn, but you don't have the Blade Flurry glyph, you have the glyph for Killing Spree because you will use it here at the moment that the sentries are down. So we have here Fan of Knives, Adrenaline Rush and Killing Spree, and like I said, first 5-10 seconds of this boss fight are the most important if you want to get here close to 99. Okay, what do we have next on our list? Hodir, okay. I hate that fight, first of all, because it's... I'm not sure if I would use the word luck, but you are depending on if you get the Rune Storm power buff, if I'm not wrong, as a melee. As more uptime you have on the Rune Storm power buff, as higher will your damage be. The only thing that really, and usually you have to give it to the caster, I really hate that, but at the moment this is how we play it. I hope we will turn that around one day if we are having definitely always enough damage to defeat that boss, but okay. Other thing that is here very important, line up your, if you are wanting to do here as much damage as possible, line up your cooldowns with Bloodlust. The Bloodlust is usually like maybe 30 seconds into the fight getting used. It's depending on some things, but that's usually how it will play it. I think on this fight I just used my cooldowns directly at the start. What is bad, or I used it when the boss was on his place. That was definitely bad. And the other thing that is important here for this fight, that you stay in these light beams. The light beams gives you a lot of damage. I think it's 50% increased crit damage, if I'm not wrong. Depending on how much crit you have, you can, you know, how much damage, how big the damage boost is. It's the tank's task to put the boss as much as he can into the light beams. So it's not really up to you how this boss fight works, but you can see here directly in the light beam, if it's possible, do as much damage as possible. You can always go a little bit in and out to place these runes away from the light beam, but okay, if not, then they are existing there for 1 minute, so always go directly back to it. Sadly the tank is moving it here, then directly run to the next one. Try to do as much damage as possible all the time, so don't get confused. And also here is very important, go out of these runes, of the big runes, because you will definitely die. And then when you hear see the snow area, directly go back into them, if not you would get frozen. So, and to be honest, that's the boss fight. Like I said, could be a sad boss fight for melees if the light beams are very bad positioned, or your tank is positioning very bad, and if you don't get any runestone power, and there are a lot of attempts that I would say as a melee you don't get any runestone power, depending on if your guild focuses only on the casters or not. In my opinion, it's a mistake to focus only on the casters, but it is how it is. We did it here, not the best try, but on 10 men it's not that hard. So you can use Feint for, you can use here Feint, Killing Spree, Rupture and Feint, I would say. You can also use Killing Strike. Feint, why? Because if you try to stay always in the light beams, you see that the small ice runes are coming there, and and they definitely give you damage if you stay in them when they are falling down from the roof. So ice shatters, or however you want to call them. So if you want to have a much uptime as possible, then I think I would definitely recommend you to use Feint there, because if you even get hit when it's knocking you back, then the damage is not that much. We come to the next boss fight, Thorim. Here also we as melees, we stay in the arena, you know, nothing is happening there. I will fast forward here a little bit to get to that point. Now I want to talk about it a little bit. So yeah, what you can use here is definitely Killing Spree, but you have to care about that you don't use Killing Spree when before chain lightning is going out, or you can kill a lot of other people. And the other good thing is you can use Feint, the Feint Glyph. So Killing Spree, Feint Glyph, and Rupture, I would say. Why Feint? Because with Feint Glyph you can stay into the, how they're called, Radiance. Let us fast forward here a little bit till the boss is coming down. Yeah. I mean, let me see if I can directly show you what I mean. Bloodlust gets usually used on pull, you know, like always 1 or 2 seconds after pull. So you will also use it then. That's important. Do as much damage as possible in that time. It's very important for combat. These areas I meant when he's putting up this kegel of light beams. Ah, now it's behind me. I just used Feint to mitigate damage. Now I used it, and as you can see, I only got like 7k damage. If you don't use it, you are usually dead or very close to that. I think it should be doing around 20k to you. With Feint you reduce it around 50%, so big damage reduced. That's a good thing I broke. You can stay here so that you don't move around a lot. Especially important on 25 man, because on 25 man the room is much fuller, especially with melees, and every melee movement can lead to some deaths because of the chain lightning. So that's it. What is important here in the boss fight again, Feint use, don't use it too early, don't use it too late, and Killing Spree, really care about your Killing Spree. Only do it when you know there was just a chain lightning going out, because if you use Killing Spree when chain lightning going is out, then you can kill a lot of people. That would be very, very bad. Next fight we want to talk about is Freya. It's a very nice fight in my opinion. I like it very much. It's a lot of different things on the table. So important is damage on her is not counting till the last phase of the boss fight starts. That means don't do really damage to her. The maximum that you should do is keep slicing dice up on her. Very important also, you usually are one of the persons who should kick one of the targets. I think in that case I have the water elemental that I should kick, so that's very important. Don't miss a kick, can lead to a wipe on one of those things. And also that's the moment that you should use Blade Flurry. Why? Because you can get a lot of damage out with Blade Flurry. The small adds that are arriving, these are usually the time where you use Fan of Knives. I'm not sure if I'm not 100% sure what exactly are the best glyphs. I would say now after 4 weeks of raiding, I think I would go for Fan of Knives, Rupture, maybe Fan of Knives, Adrenaline Rush, and Killing Spree, yeah. Why? Because Fan of Knives, a lot of damage on the super small ones. You can also Fan of Knives the big ones here. With Blade Flurry and Fan of Knives would be crazy damage. And Adrenaline Rush, you can definitely use it 2 times in this fight. And 2 times 20 seconds, 100% energy regeneration is just awesome. So that, I think that would be my choice nowadays after 4 weeks of raiding. It's always hard to figure it out. Feint makes here not a lot of sense. Yeah. Important here, always stay on one of the mushrooms that you don't have a lot of downtime. If you're not on the mushrooms, you are silenced. That means you cannot use any ability, just auto hits, which reduces your damage by a lot. Don't stay in the light beams is important, and also here pool energy, so don't waste energy that when they are arriving, because what you should be minimum getting out is 3 Fan of Knives, and if you have the global sabotage, sometimes you can even get 4 Fan of Knives out, depending on how long they are living, but that's very important, and that's why I think Fan of Knives would be a good glyph. 30% more damage on Fan of Knives. If you get here 2 or 3 waves of the small ones than the other ones, so you can make here a lot of crazy damage with the Fan of Knife glyphs. Again here, fight against the big one. There is the most important thing, that you are in a mushroom, that you are not silenced, and like I said, kick those ones, use Blade Flurry for them, so that means save Blade Flurry for this moment here, and then the fight against when Freya is alone is nothing to mention. The only thing is that you have to cross the river on certain times. Use your cooldowns if they get up again. You see here, sadly, I don't get it up again, another adrenaline rush, but alright. That's it. Pretty nice fight, because a lot of different things are happening, like I said. So here you can definitely show some skill, depending on if you have in every moment the right answer. Kicks, the 3 mobs, Blade Flurry, big guy, use your normal cooldowns, and for the small ones, have enough energy to do as much Fan of Knives as possible. Don't waste any damage on Freya before it's counting, makes no sense. The only thing that sometimes you have to get 1, 2, 3 combo points on her to get the slice and dice running. We come to the next fight, Mimiron. It's a very long fight with a lot of different phases, or 4 different phases. What is here important as well, cooldown usage. Depending on how long the fight is going for you, use your cooldown as much as possible. I usually use them always here at the start to get things running. And then later on you can see, if you have some tries, you will know if this is a good decision or not. What is very important, and this is maybe the most important thing for a lot of damage in this fight for you, is that you have Blade Flurry ready for the last phase. Could be also make sense with Adrenaline Rush and Fan of Knives in the last phase, depending on if you should focus one of those or not. But at the end of the day, what is very important is Blade Flurry for the last phase. I also like to use here Feint Glyph. Why? Because it's hard to never stand in the fire and stuff like this. So with Feint, you can definitely take here some damage that you usually cannot take if you don't use Feint. So I think I would prefer recommend here Feint Glyph. Killing Spree, definitely care here about Killing Spree. I can say that from time to time it killed me here on this boss. Why? I don't know why, but usually Killing Spree brings you behind the target, and in that case, when I did it, sometimes I was thrown into the fire, which can stack, so it's not always 1 fire on 1 place. There could always be 3 fires on 1 place. That means 1 tick is directly, I don't know, 8 or 9k damage, which is a lot, and it ticks very fast then when there are 3 of them lined up. And also on the Arcane Barrage, it killed me. I don't know how this is even possible, because like I said, usually you should be behind him, but I did maybe Killing Spree too early. It teleported me into the boss, and I died. And also you can see here a lot of fire here. So with Feint, you're just a little bit safer, that if you get some damage, then that you can prevent 50% of it, which helps you to stay alive, which helps the healers to heal other persons. Other persons make damage on the boss, that leads to better kill time, that's good for you. And again, like I said here, very important is the absolute last phase. Here is just stay behind the boss as good as possible. You can clear, especially on the first phase and also later on the phases, you can clear the little mines on the floor with your Cloak of Shadow. That's definitely a point. So Cloak of Shadow and run through 3-4 of them to clean them up. Apart from this here, the phase is very easy. When the bots are coming down, you can only auto-attack the boss when it's on the air. Do that if there's nothing else to do. It definitely keeps your DPS up because you know that fight has a lot of downtime. Very important. And then there are the other bots coming, especially the assault bots. Do also on them as much damage as possible. What is here very important, and definitely on this phase 3, downtime. Don't have too much downtime. Try always to attack bots, attack the boss if possible. Maybe also with a fan of knives and stuff like this. Very important. Don't get hit by the bomb bots. That's important. They can kill you. Don't stay in the fire. That's also important. But most important phase 3 is the downtime. And then last phase. Like I said, most important would be that you have your cooldowns ready again. Seems like, I don't know if I made here something wrong with the cooldowns lineup. Definitely I have no cooldowns ready. What I have ready is my Killing Spree and my Blade Flurry. That definitely helps already to make a decent amount of damage. And like I said, Blade Flurry is here the priority number 1 to have here a decent kill. I will try it with Fan of Knives. Maybe there's something that we can look up super quick. That would be interesting, so that we can learn something even together. If Fan of Knives in the last phase is here the way to go, just let us look on the number 1. Make a G-strat, that is the duration is kind of normal. Okay, damage done. Fan of Knives. So Fan of Knives is definitely your choice. Let us see when he's using it, I guess in the last phase. If I'm not wrong, Fan of Knives. Yeah, Fan of Knives definitely in the last 2 phases. First phase 3 for when bots are all stacked together. And the last phase, definitely when the big robot is coming up, because you hit all 3 of them, is very nice to know. So Fan of Knives, also Fan of Knife Glyphs, then would be maybe Fan of Knives, Killing Spree, and depending on what you like, Adrenaline Rush or Feint. So both are possible here in that case. That's it for this fight. Nothing happening here anymore. Not a clean kill here. But we got it. General. It's easy as a melee, to be honest. You just stay behind the boss and damaging as crazy as possible. If you have to kick as a rogue, you are done. You have to kick here. I don't know how many times. Really, I don't know how many times you would have to kick. I would say between 10 and 20 times. Every kick costs 20 or 25 energy. That's too much energy that you lose. So if you have to kick, you cannot parse here very high, just to make that clear. That leads us to the point that you maybe have to talk here with one of your guildmates if he can take the kicks for you. Saves you a lot of energy. There are some classes that have no negative thing because of kicking. DKs, for example, Shamans, for example. I'm not sure about Warriors, if it takes some of their resource. It's a good question, to be honest, but definitely DKs and Enhancer Shaman can do it. In that case, I was together with a DK. The DK told me, hey, I kick every time, but just look out if I tell you I missed or resisted or whatever, then you have to make the kick. And I think that's also happening here 1 or 2 times. Cooldown usage here also can be important depending on your kill time. It's a very long fight, so I cannot know your kill time, so maybe you have to figure it out perfectly with your kill time. But my first of all general recommendation is use them as much as possible. yeah, it makes a lot of sense if they are perfectly lined up with Bloodlust. Bloodlust will get used when this Animus is appearing. But if you cannot know exactly how this will be lined up or how the damage will be and all these things, then how the kill time overall will be, then just use them as often as possible. What else? If you have to expose armor, like always, sorry that I only mentioned one time, you need to expose armor glyph. There is no question about it. If you don't have to expose armor, then I think the normal glyphs, the killing spree, Sinister Strike, Rupture, or for Sinister Strike, Adrenaline Rush, they are definitely working you out. They are a good choice overall. Feint needs not to be used. You receive like 0 damage as a melee, as far as I can say, and then it's just tank and spank, and that's it. Last but not least, we come to use Blade Flurry when the Animus is appearing, or a little bit of extra damage, but okay. We come to the last fight for today. I will make a single video about Algolon, because very less people have Algolon down at the moment, so I want to make an extra video about it. To be honest, Algolon is not so special as as Rogue, but yeah, I think it makes sense for Algolon to bring in a separate video. Very important here, Feint. You have to go here directly in the middle and kill the ads together with the tank and the other melees. You can use Feint every 10 seconds, and every 10 seconds is reducing the damage by a lot. You see, I only got 6k damage here. If you don't use it, you always get like half HP. So if you use here Feint and Cloak of Shadows, if for an emergency, you can always stay in the middle and you have a lot of uptime. As you can see here, I'm on 5k DPS just on these mobs. If you only stay outside, you can never have this amount of damage. So Feint is here very important on that fight. It's the most important. What is also important is later on in the fight, when you only fight Yogg with the appearing mobs, there could be important to use Fan of Knives, just to make that clear. I did not use it in the past, but depending on how many enemies there, it always makes sense. So just to clarify, Fan of Knives makes always sense 3 or more. In that case, there's very often 3 or more, and then it makes sense to use Fan of Knives. Very important to know. So Feint, Killing Spree, definitely, and then depending on what you like, Fan of Knives, Adrenaline Rush, maybe to have better uptime on the brain when you guys go down, and things like this. This is the most that I can tell you. Is very important to be directly here inside. Don't touch the clouds for sure, you would spawn other ones, but always use Feint before they explode. If you, whatever is the reason, don't have Feint ready, use Cloak of Shadows. Then it's very important that you directly on your portal when the portal is happening. Try also here to have as less downtime as possible. That means attack the tentacles that you can attack, not a big one because that will kill you instantly. When you go here inside, try always to face away from these skulls. Sadly, I cannot show it to you right now. Here, the skull, you saw it. Second, here's a skull. Because that makes you lose sanity. Already 53, what is, to be honest, very bad. And here in the brain, super important, use all your cooldowns. You are usually the person that should expose armor it. Why? It's directly there, complete full expose armor. That means it's very important that you're doing it and not a warrior. So if you use expose armor on this fight, or if you have to use expose armor on the fight, then it would be Killing Spree, expose armor, and Feint. If you don't have to expose armor, then you can choose between Adrenaline Rush, Rupture, Sinister Strike. They're always a little bit close together depending on your playstyle. And then here, like I said, usually we try to go behind the boss to kill him from there. Try also here, you have like no uptime. Always turn around when you are about to lose too much sanity, but also to make sure you don't need to have 50-60 sanity after the boss fight. You should go as low as possible without getting insane. So use your insanity like a resource. The most important thing is your damage. So as much damage as possible here would make a Fan of Knives a lot of sense. As you can see, sadly I don't use it, but I never said that I'm playing things perfect. I just want to share my knowledge about Ulduar and about the boss fights to make you or to make everybody a better combat player. And don't get me wrong, like I also already mentioned before, I'm far away from being the best or second best, but I try to improve every week, and so far that worked out for me pretty good. So yeah, I'm happy about it. We are 4th week into the rating tier. It makes a lot of fun. It's a big difference between Razorscale, where you just face rule through everything. Here you have actually things to do. I like the raid. I love the raid. Yeah, that's, to be honest, that's it. There's nothing really happening anymore. So what I can say is, it's awesome to play Combat Rogue. I like it pretty much. Your cooldown usage is the most important thing. You have a lot of variety with your Glyphs, Feint, Adrenaline Rush, Fan of Knives, Expose Armor if you have to use Expose Armor. Don't miss that. Don't miss that things. Don't be lazy. Being lazy leads you to doing less damage. Less damage is leading to wipes. Wipes are not good. We're also talking about parses. If you want to parse orange or maybe even pink 99s, you cannot be lazy. You don't need to be one of the best players to have orange logs or pink logs, but you definitely should be not lazy, because that can definitely do a lot of can lead to a lot of anger from other people if you are not using the potential of your character if they are using it. So try not to do that. Try to be a good player. Try to improve every week. If you're having right now a 75 on a boss, it's not bad. Not everybody can have 98, 99 or whatever. If you have a 75 on a boss, set your goal. Try to make it an 80, 85 the next week. That's fine. That's a very good improvement. When you're an 85, 90, then try to reach the 95. Always step by step. Think about what was not good last week, what you did on that boss. Maybe you completely messed up your cooldowns. Sometimes you can also have an unlucky moment. Like I said, Ignis, maybe he takes you. Definitely you do less damage here overall. Definitely. Maybe you have to expose armor. Expose armor is definitely usually leading to a damage reduction. There's no doubt about it. So overall, a lot of things, a lot of funny things with Combat Rogue. I love the class, I love the spec. That's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got some things that can make you a better Combat Rogue player in Ulduar here especially. Good luck to everybody. If you have some questions about some things, put it in the comment section. If I cannot answer it, then I maybe will ask another person that can answer it, but usually I would say my knowledge is pretty decent about it. And that's it for today, guys. Good luck. Bye-bye. Juju Energy is definitely at the moment a gaming drink of my choice. It helps me stay focused with a lot of energy, good reactions, and it's even good for the eye health. The natural caffeine and the sugar-free makes it even better. A lot of different flavors. Blue raspberry is definitely at the moment my favorite, but you can choose whatever you want. And with the discount code mulltiy10, you can get additional 10% discount on your order. Enjoy it, guys.